Okay, let's start with both sides of your family as far as your ancestry and where they emigrated from, that sort of thing. So why don't we start on your father's side?
On my father's side. Well, my father was born in America.
Okay.
They lived in, at that time, they lived what is now, or was Hell's Kitchen
Oh, in Manhattan?
in Manhattan.
Okay.
Yes. My grandfather came from Frankfurt.
All right, so
On
his
the
father
Mars.
came from,
My grandfather.
your father's father came from Frankfurt,
That's my
Germany.
grandfather.
Exactly.
My grandmother came from Alsace-Lorraine.
Oh, the disputed area between France and
Right.
Germany that sort of
Right.
started World War
But she
I.
was German. She was not
Right.
French.
Well,
She was
German settlers there,
She
or
was
German residents.
Yeah. Oh, this was long before World War I.
Right.
This had to be in the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
Because she remembers the Frenchmen as the redcoats, and they were scared to death. As children, they were scared to death.
Oh,
the
of the
redcoats.
French army?
Yeah, the French army. They must have. I always thought the British were the only ones that wore red coats, but I
Mhm.
guess the French. And also, she worked as a young woman. She worked in a bakery, and so that if she made anything, she never put icing on it. You know, if she made muffins or
Oh.
everything's plain. I think
Because customers coming in and...
I think working in a bakery, she just got tired of sweet things.
Oh, I see.
And she never, she would make a cake, but there would be practically no icing on it.
Mm-hmm.
It was always good, but
So she worked in a bakery in over in Germany or here?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I think so. Now, the early times of the Eusners, they're in that Eusner book,
Mm-hmm.
if I could find it.
Yeah, well, we can dig it up. So they come to the United States. Your grandparents come to the United
Right.
States, get married. Your father is born. So what do you know about your father's childhood?
Well, they were in the restaurant business,
Mm-hmm.
and I really don't know very much about his childhood. I know he went back to Germany, and there was a record of it. But we were trying to find out Oma's parentage, but we never could, because on the manifest it always listed just the man and his wife,
Oh, I
and
see.
they had everything where he came from, and
Oh, so your grandparents were married over in Germany and came here as a young married couple.
that I'm not sure of.
Okay.
I don't remember whether they were
Mhm.
married over there or they were married here.
Okay.
But they lived in New York City.
They knew each other when they came over here?
That I don't know.
Okay. But anyway, getting back to your dad. So your dad's early childhood, you don't know too much about.
Not too much about.
All
I
right.
know he had an older brother, slightly older than him, who had rheumatic fever as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And he died when he was about 19 years old.
Oh, I
know
see.
that.
Okay.
And he had two sisters, Sophie and Tilly,
Mm-hmm.
and Matilda. And he remembers going over to visit relatives in Germany, and he was hungry all the time he was in Germany. They set a very poor table.
Oh, okay.
And he used to go, we always marveled that he could suck a raw egg,
Mm-hmm.
but he said he used to go out to the hen house when he was a little boy. I think he was about 11 or 12. And he would make a little hole in the egg
Mm-hmm.
so he could eat the egg.
Oh, and he would drain all the eggs.
He drained all the egg out, because he said he was always hungry over
Mhm.
in Germany, because they set such a poor table.
Hmm.
But I never heard too much about his early childhood.
All right. Why don't we stop there with him and go to your maternal grandmother?
My maternal grandmother was my
Mhm.
nana,
Right.
and she was born in County Katy, and that is in Armagh. And she came as a very young woman to...
Actually, was it the county or the town of Katy? Wasn't it the town? It's Keady?
Yeah.
Or is that a county too?
Well, Armagh.
Oh, the county of Armagh. Okay.
I always heard County Katy.
Oh, okay.
And she came with her sister, Lizzie,
Mm-hmm.
who was Uncle Raymond's mother.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I don't know very much about how she met my grandfather, Van Cleve.
Mm-hmm.
But when they were married, they took Lizzie. Lizzie was quite a few years younger than she was.
Right.
And they took Lizzie, and Lizzie lived with them.
Okay.
And he came from New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
Jamesburg, New Jersey. And he came from a very old family.
Mm-hmm.
They came to the United States in 1630, the Van Cleves did. Some settled on Staten Island, and the rest settled in New Jersey. I think they were brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, what else can I tell you? He worked in New Jersey. There was a shirt factory,
Mm-hmm.
and he was some specialized thing in the shirt factory. And he got tuberculosis. And I think his brother Ren, he also had tuberculosis.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think living in a farm community like Jamesburg,
There wouldn't be
but
TB.
because I think they inhaled the dust from the linen,
Mm-hmm.
because they both had,
Huh.
and Uncle Ren died. I don't know whether he died before my grandfather, whose name was Ellis.
Mm-hmm.
But they had three children. Ellis was the little boy, little red-haired boy, and Aunt Mildred and Nana.
Okay.
And
Now, so your father grows up, becomes a young man. What profession does he choose?
I honestly don't know. By that time, my grandfather was into the brewery business.
Okay.
And his beer went to, I don't know whether he was a wholesaler or something, but my father used to have to go around and collect rents. My grandfather was very frugal, and he invested in a lot of, guess what would be considered tenements.
Oh, okay.
And my father was, went around and
Collected rents and that sort of thing.
He was very good in arithmetic.
Oh,
my
good.
father was.
Okay.
Very good in arithmetic.
Is
All right.
there a
And
house?
he did all the work, all the and my Aunt Sophie married Billy Bachman.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Bachman Bechtel Brewery in Stapleton.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandfather had a big restaurant there. And from what I gathered from different people, like Mrs. Bedford across the street,
Mm-hmm.
she remembers going to the restaurant and they had a big outdoor pavilion. She remembers going there as a child.
Oh, neat.
And because her father supplied all the condiments
Mm-hmm.
to all the different breweries and places around in Stapleton.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, there were a lot of breweries in Stapleton. And my mother worked for Lou Nungesser, who was the accountant. At that time, my grandfather had a lot of property,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the accountant for my grandfather. And my father used to go in constantly,
Okay.
and that's where he met my mother.
I see.
Lou
Oh, in the
Nungesser.
accountant's office.
Yes, my
Okay.
mother was a secretary
Oh, okay.
for Lou Nungesser.
Alrighty.
And that's where he met my father.
Now, if my great grandfather had all this property and rents and that sort of thing, what happened to it? Was it the crash at 29?
No. He left it all to my father.
Mm-hmm.
Always to the oldest son.
Right.
The son got everything.
Right.
The daughters got nothing.
A very European and Irish in particular
Yeah,
tradition.
oh, yeah. Well, not only European.
Right, old
Yeah,
school European.
Yeah, old school.
Mm-hmm.
But my father, being a very generous man, split it with his sisters. And then my father went into business. He was not a good businessman like his father.
Okay.
His father was a very,
Very shrewd businessman.
very shrewd businessman. Very heartless, I'm sure.
Mhm.
It had to be in those days.
Yep.
And my father bought a garage. Of course, he knew nothing about mechanics, so he had to hire mechanics. And people stiffed him, as my mother said.
Yeah, he sounds like a lot like J.R.
Yes.
Just too soft-hearted for his own
In
good.
certain ways, yeah, I guess he was.
Mhm.
I guess he was. But he lost the business, and of course, and he went to his sisters for help, and they wouldn't help him.
Oh.
They're very, you can
It's a
realize.
tough bunch.
I had deep love for
Yes.
Aunt Tilly and Aunt Sophie.
Aunt Sophie. All right, so they refused to
Because
help
he
the
didn't have to
kids.
give them a dime.
Right.
He was kind of expected to look after them, but both of them had married very well.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't need
Mm-hmm.
money,
Okay.
but then he got because he was so good in arithmetic, he got a job with the city of New York as an estimator for the water department
Okay.
on Staten Island.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he did till the day he died.
Oh,
actually.
okay.
But he went into business several times. He
Mhm.
always wanted to be a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
And he opened a little luncheonette kind of a thing. It was the cricket luncheonette, I remember. And of course, Nana made all the curtains and did all the decorations. But it was right down on the beach in Tottenville.
Oh, okay.
But that was Prohibition time.
Mm-hmm.
And he lost that business too. He just didn't
Didn't have a good business sense.
didn't have a good business sense
Mhm.
at all. Because the people who stiffed him in his when he had his garage, they were people with a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And they just, well, we'll pay you next week, we'll pay you next month.
Mm-hmm.
And my father, instead of saying, well, I won't do any more work on your car, no, he didn't. He let it go until, he was not a good businessman.
Mhm.
But he was very good in arithmetic.
Okay, as more, an accountant, estimator, that sort
right.
of thing. Okay. All right. So your mom. I always thought that your mom got her job because of your father's death.
No, she didn't.
No.
My mother got her job.
So you were actually a rarity in that time where both your parents worked outside
but
the home.
for a very short period of time. Aunt Mildred, my nana,
Mm-hmm.
my Irish nana, died.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the day of the examination for what an investigator for the Department of Hospitals.
Okay, like a civil
And-
service exam.
And Mama didn't want to go. Nana
Right.
didn't want to go. And Aunt Mildred made Nana go. That was Aunt Mildred was still around, so that was 1926.
Okay.
And that was before she went to Senator.
Mm-hmm.
She made Nana go and take the test.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Nana did very well on the test. But like in those days, you were put on a list.
Right.
And Nana wasn't called on that list until about a year before my father died.
Oh, I see. So there was a lag between.
But of course, we had old Keys,
Mm-hmm.
who was with us, who had been an ironer in my grandmother Van Cleef's laundry.